Hello again everyone, welcome to today's Wednesday webinar from the Tekla Inc. Steel Segment team down here in Atlanta, Georgia. A very sunny and humid Atlanta, Georgia this week. My name is Ian Coates, I'm the product manager for the Steel Segment here, and again I'm accompanied by Lee Snyder, our application consultant, who's going to do all the hard work in today's webinar. This webinar is going to be part of our Fabricator series again. This time we're on to the second one, which is efficient organizing. You will find, if you want to find the first one, it's on our website, Accurate Estimating. We did that a little while back there. So you can follow this series by looking at www.tekla.com/US and then find a webinar tab on the right hand side of that page. Our next webinar will be Wednesday 3rd August, usually at lunchtime Eastern Time. It's also going to be part of the Fabricator series, and we're going to cover planning, scheduling and tracking, using the model, the visualization in the model to show information quickly and easily. Really useful if you've got guys who aren't perhaps so proficient in 3D or in building information modeling or anything like that. But guys can get an instant look at where the progress is in the job just by looking at the colorization and things like that. We'll also show some new tools like the Task Manager and things like that as well, which are coming or have just been released in a new module, which Lee will no doubt talk about later. Future webinars also advertised on our website, and there's the address on screen right there. Today we'll have a question and answer session, so you'll find that box down there in your GoToMeeting webinar interface there. Please go ahead and ask any questions you like. We'll try and answer them as we go through it. Brian Raglan will be helping us in the booth there, typing those questions in as we go through it. The chat window is disabled, but you'll get the Q&A window on there. If we are unable to get to your question, please send us an email. Send it to myself or to Lee, or even call that number on screen. We'll be happy to hear from you. Or if you're a Tekla customer already, you probably know who your account manager is, and they'll be happy to hear from you as well. If you don't know who your account manager is, we'll be happy to tell you. Just drop us a note. So I'll stop talking now and we'll get to the meat and potatoes, and I'll introduce Lee here, who's going to talk about organizing your model.
Alright, thank you, Ian. We'll go ahead and jump in and introduce this webinar, the Fabricator series, Efficient Organizing. And what I'll do is highlight some simple tools that will help you classify and categorize your model objects for a smoother extraction of data, to speed up the process and be able to help things flow much more quickly and efficiently. So before we jump into the model, the way that we have this broken down is we'll talk about defining phases using the phase manager, and also introduce the custom inquiry tool and some options that you can do with that. We'll talk about defining deliveries using the lotting tool within Tekla to split up which pieces will be loaded on which truck, or however you want to divide that up. And then we'll show how we can report that data. We have a lotting report that will show you which pieces are attached to which truck and so forth. And you can also look at the tonnage or items based upon the phase to make sure that the phases, if you want them to have the weights match or be similar, or have the items per phase be similar, you can look at the reports and be able to extract that data from the model. Then once we have that input into the model, we can also colorize the model so that you can see the model colorized by the phase, by the lots, by the sequence, or by any attribute that you want to put within Tekla. And then you can show that using our web viewer or by using the Tekla BIM site, so that you can share those with anybody that you want for free, regardless of whether or not they have an actual Tekla license or not. And then we'll jump into the model organizer with this new service release 2 in Tekla 17. There have been some significant improvements and enhancements that have been added to that, so we'll highlight those, putting information into logical areas and into object types. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We'll talk first about defining phases using the phase manager as shown here in the custom inquiry tool. So we'll go ahead and jump into the model here. This is the same model that we've been using and the same model that we'll use throughout the Fabricator series. So the first thing that we'll want to do is we can define this into specific phases. So if I come up here and go to Tools, down to the Phase Manager, what will open is a dialog box like this. Everything that was initially modeled was modeled in Phase 1. You can see this down here that right now I'm using the current phase of 1, so anything that was modeled will show up in that. If I stretch this out, you can see all of the other types of information that you can associate with these specific phases. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and create a couple phases, and I'll just go ahead and click on Add, and it will change these sequentially for me. But you do have the option to come in here and type in anything that you want. If you want this to be phase 100, you can come in and modify these just by clicking in there. So pretty easy to set up any type of phase that you want. So let's just go ahead and start phasing this. I'll just focus here on the first floor. So all of this information right here, since everything was modeled, that this will already be in phase 1. So I can just select the phase and hit modify phase, even though that's what it already is, but I'll just go ahead and continue this process. I can set up all of this right here to be in phase 2 just by selecting the phase that I want and then choosing modify phase. And then you can visually see that within the model. If you come and click, if you have the phase highlighted, you can select the objects by phases to highlight what is in the respective phases. And that's going to highlight the entire model, so we can see everything there. So we'll go ahead and do that, and I'll continue adding in these other phases.
So just while Lee is adding in those other phases, you can see the @ symbol there marking the current phase. And this is almost kind of like similar to layers in other CAD programs, where you can set the current phase by using that set current button there on the right, and then every new object that you add to your model subsequently would appear in that phase. So it's not like everything has to be added in phase 1 and then adjusted. You can choose which phase you want to work from for new objects at any time.
Yep, perfect. Okay, so I went through and just added a couple different phases. So if I come in here, I can inquire on any of these parts, and it will tell me which phase that this has been assigned to, and then later we'll go ahead and colorize the model and even extract reports based on the phases. But this is kind of the nuts and bolts of the phase manager. As Ian mentioned, you can use the set current, you can add and delete specific phases, and if you select something in the model and click on phases by objects, it will highlight the phase that it is actually in. So that's kind of how that all works together.
Just one last thing on phases as well is that if you are working with this when you're creating the model, you may want to give like some notice to how you want the numbering system to work with phasing. For example, this phase manager may allow you to have similar numbered items across several phases. And there is a function elsewhere in the program through user-defined attributes that will allow you to define if two items are similar and you want them to have different marks because they're in different phases, then you can do that as well. So this is a nice simple phase manager just for organizing the job.
Right. So moving on from the phase manager, we'll come now and talk about the custom inquire. Some of you may be familiar that if you right click on an object, you can inquire on the object, you can inquire on the assembly, and it will give you specific predefined information within Tekla. If you come down here to Tools, Inquire, we have a custom inquiry tool that will bring up a dialog basically that looks like this. If I come over here to the standard, what this will do is that you can define what information you want to see when you click on a specific object within the model. So this is reporting the assembly and part positions, the length, the area, weight, and phase of a specific item. You can come in here to the manage contents and you can see the list of things that you can choose to show, and you can also modify this list to include other attributes. If you had specific user-defined attributes that you wanted to show, you could load those in here as well. So one thing that this is really helpful with is getting information quick and on the fly. For example, I have one here that I created for a surface area. That what this will do is if I select an object, it will give me the total surface area here with the area net. And then what you can do, like if you were trying to estimate or gather how much field painting you needed to do out in the field, is you could come in here to the manage contents and edit this formula. And basically what I did is I took the total area and I'm dividing it by a unit. So this would be like 30, or you could figure out how much area you could paint in an hour, and then divide that by the total, so that using this custom inquiry tool you could immediately see how many hours or days it was going to take you to apply the paint to this specific area. And this works not just on one, but if I just window highlight an entire area, it will give me the surface area for all of those objects divided by that value that I have defined within the formula here under the Manage Contents tab.
The other thing as well is if Lee holds down the Control key on the keyboard and just adds in one more item, you see that the number keeps accumulating as you keep adding things in. So this quick inquiry or custom inquiry tool, you can use it to say, right, well, I know I can do, I don't know, 100 square feet a day, so you can select all those items up till 100 square feet and give you an idea of how much visually can be done in a day for the painter, for example.
Okay, we'll go ahead and jump back into the PowerPoint here. We just talked about the Phase Manager and the Custom Inquiry tool. The next thing that we'll talk about is defining deliveries using the lotting tool, where you can set up pieces and attach them to a specific truck based upon a weight or things like that. So we'll introduce that and then hop back into the model. And we can find the lotting tool by going to Tools, down to Lotting. And what this will show is we can come over here to the properties, and I can define, let's say that I just want to put in here that this is truck number 1. I'll just go ahead and create a couple of these. And then I can define the max weight. So if I put in here that a truck can hold 60,000 pounds, then I can go ahead and just add this and just continue to add however many trucks I want to show within here. So I'll just go ahead and add a couple of these so that we can add to them later. I'll just add a couple more. Here we go. And if you want to be able to use this, if you don't want to be as specific as per truck, you could actually, if you said, okay, all of these need to ship on this specific day, and that's going to incorporate 5 trucks, but you don't necessarily care which truck it was assigned to, is you could just come in here and increase the max weight by 5 or however many trucks that you have, and then just segregate this based on day 1, day 2, or whatever to track your delivery. So it could be drilled down to individual truck, or it could be much broader by phase deliveries or daily deliveries or things like that. So again, you can come in here and add, modify, or delete your phases. So let's go ahead and click on OK. And I have these available for me now. And what this will show is if I go ahead and select on this truck 1, it'll tell me the max weight that can be put on that truck. And as I add items to it, this number will begin to decrease, telling me how much weight I have left for this truck and how much weight total I have put on that. So I'll just go ahead and just start selecting some areas here, and I can just window highlight some and then just hold down Control, and I can see these values changing. And as soon as I go over the limit, it's going to give me a negative value, meaning that I've exceeded the weight, and I wouldn't be able to add that in there. So I'll just go ahead and deselect that so that I can see that these items right here are going to be applied to that truck. So I'll just click on Apply Selected, which those have now been assigned. And now if I want to come over here and begin adding to the second truck, I can just click on Truck 2 and then window highlight. And you'll notice that if I window highlight some items that are already assigned to a truck, Tekla won't allow me to do that. So I highlighted these columns, and I don't know if you could hear it or not, but my computer dinged, giving me a warning saying that I'm trying to add some objects to a new truck that already belonged to another one. So that's a nice check for you as well. So I'll just go ahead and continue selecting some items here. I'll just grab these columns till we go over. That's probably going to push me over there. So I'll just go ahead and click on apply selected. So those are applied. I'll go to truck 3, and then I can just continue to window highlight and add items to fill up the remainder of my trucks. So that should just about do it right there. There we go, that pushed me over, so I'll apply selected, and we can do one more if we want just to continue on here. So deselect some of these beams that I have, and then however you want to load these up, you'll be able to do so. So it looks like I got some pretty heavy columns in here. There we go. Okay. So we can go ahead and continue to apply those however we want through the specific trucks. And again, as I mentioned, you could divide that up into days or whatever, just by increasing the max weight of what you want to ship and so forth. So pretty simple tool, similar to the functionalities of how other tools operate in Tekla, but extremely handy to see what the weight is, how much weight you've used, and things like that. Alright, the next topic that we'll cover is, now that we've input phases into the model and that we've assigned specific trucks using the logging tools, we can generate reports from the model in any format that we want, CSV or the general report with Tekla or even HTML. So let's go ahead back into the model, and we can take a look at these reports. So one thing, if I let's take a look at the different phases. If I open up the phase manager, I can highlight phase 2 and click on objects by phases, so that it highlights that entire phase within the model. I can then come up to the reports with that highlighted, and I can run any report that I want, basically create from selected, to be able to see what's going on with that. So if I, for example, just run this assembly list from selected, I can go ahead and run this, and it'll tell me the individual marks of all the pieces that belong to that phase, the specific quantities, profiles, and things like that, and it'll give me a total down here at the bottom, the total number of assemblies, and with the total weight. So this will be key if you want to keep the weight similar across your different phases, or the number of items within a phase. You can easily report this information out. So again, running these reports from selected based upon the highlighted phase from the phase manager is a quick and efficient way to gather information, or a quick overview about what's going on with that phase or sequence, or however that's been divided up. So another list that we can run down here is one that's out of the box, the logging list. I'll go ahead and run this from all, and what it will do is it'll look through my entire model, and it'll report out information based upon how I've defined these lots. So right here, what we're seeing is all of the pieces that belong to lot 1, so the individual items with the quantities and the weight, giving me a total down here at the bottom, which is easy for tracking and for shipping purposes. Has this divided into truck 2, truck 3, truck 4, and so forth, however many you added on there. So real easy report. Again, this can be exported to Excel. So if the guy loading the truck wants to go ahead and check or verify that it has been put on the truck and has been shipped, again, you can track that and put that information back into the model, so that you can get an immediate status update of everything that's going on within the project at a given time. So it's fairly easy to extract information with reports straight from the model. You can be able to see a lot of information, but one thing that's also key as well is to be able to see a visual representation or a colorization of the model based upon the phases or the lots. And again, as I mentioned, we can export those colorized models to Tekla BIM site, which is a free application that we've developed for the BIM world to be able to easily manage projects. And also we can use the web viewer, which is a standard feature within Tekla that's been around for a while. So to show how we can color those, we'll go ahead back into the model. And what I'll do is just double click in the background to bring up my view properties, and we can come here to the representation. Now there's a couple different ways that you can set this up. If we have two filters out of the box that will colorize the model by default, but basically what these will do is if we go ahead and color this by phase, we can look kind of at the guts at this. But we're coloring this based upon an attribute. So any attribute or user-defined attribute that you want to use, you can come in and search through this list. But what this will do is that Tekla will find all of the attributes that are identical, and it'll go ahead and randomly assign it a color. So if you want a specific phase to be a specific color, then you can come in here and set up a filter to find phase 1 and make it red or blue or whatever, or same for the lotting. But if you want Tekla just to go ahead and choose and pick a random color, then you can just load these defaults, and you can see here that they'll go through and colorize the model. So everything in this gray color is in phase 1. You can see the top that I didn't phase, and then everything else phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and so forth. So you can kind of see like this is a darker gray for one of the colors that Tekla chose. So if you didn't like that, you could go ahead and assign that phase a specific color so that it didn't blend in quite as much. But it's a quick, easy way to be able to see the information.
Yeah, just on the colorization things, it's worth noting that it may be at the start of your project you may want to get together with the project team and decide on a colorization key, and then print that out and share it with all your stakeholders so that you can send out these models and everybody's all singing off the same hymn sheet, so they can all see what stage, what color means what, and easily visualize what's happening when.
Yeah, more clarity. And so once this has been colored, if you want to send, obviously you could send the DB1 file to someone who has Tekla. They can open up the model and be able to view it. But if you just want to quickly share it, like if somebody's out on the field and doesn't have a borrowed Tekla license, or you're working with someone that doesn't have a Tekla license at all, first give us their information so our account managers can contact them. But you can just publish this as a web page or publish to the Tekla BIM site. I'll just publish the entire model as an XML. And what this will do is basically it'll just generate a web page that you can open in HTML format. And I'll just go ahead and allow this. And I'll be able to view the colorized model straight within this viewer. Excellent. So this has some of the concrete core. Let's see if we can.
Can you slice through it?
Yeah, I'll just set a clip plane if we want to go. There we go.
Yeah.
So that has the rest of the core that we've added on there. But then I could filter that out if I just wanted to create that from selected, just to show the overall steel. But just kind of give you an idea of the overall project. So again, this is something you could send to anybody at any time. To be able to view with Internet Explorer. So pretty handy little tool there. So let's go ahead now. We colored by phase. Let's go ahead and color this by lot. So I'll go ahead and just load this filter, select modify, and then you can see these are the individual trucks that we have. We did 1, 2, 3, and then 4 with this last cyan color. So and again, if I just wanted to window highlight this and then publish this just from the selected objects, we'll go ahead and overwrite that. Then what that will give me here is I shouldn't get all that concrete core and everything like that here within the actual model. There we go. So much more cleaner, depending on what stage of the project you want to actually see. So an easy way to share, and then again, if you want, you can load these into Tekla BIM site, and you can do clash detection and all of the other features that have been advertised on that. So we'll go ahead and close that down.
Guys, just a quick reminder, just keep the questions coming in, please. You can see the question and answer window there at the corner of your screen. Just keep shooting those questions to us, and we'll keep answering them as we go through it.
So far we've been discussing several tools that have existed within Tekla for a while. May not be familiar to everybody. Some of them have been kind of hidden or difficult to come up with a good practical application, but hopefully we've been able to demonstrate some practical ways that will save you some time on your projects. The next thing that we'll discuss is the model organizer.
Drum roll, please.
Ian's got the drum going. We introduced this briefly in the estimation webinar to go over the specific cost codes. That was using Tekla Structure 17 SR1. We've recently just released SR2, which includes quite a few improvements with the functionality and capabilities of the model organizer. And we've also launched a construction management module. Before, in order to use the model organizer or the task manager or the clash detection, the full clash detection features, you had to have a full license or a construction management license. But what we've just released is a module or an add-on where you can get those basic three tools: the model organizer, task manager, which we'll talk about in the next webinar, and the full clash detection options, the clash check manager, as an add-on. Just paying an extra fee, then you can add that on to any Tekla license, a LT license, engineering license, a steel detailing, or whatever you have.
Well. Yeah, it's worth noting as well that currently at the moment in your steel detailing or your steel detailing LE licenses or anything like that, you do have access to these tools. What you can't do right now is you can't author stuff in the model organizer, so you can't create an organized model yet. Likewise with the clash check manager, you still have clash check detection, obviously, but the clash check manager is a next grade above that, which gives you some extra functionality, and the task manager is just a whole new thing altogether. Again, you do have access to it to view tasks and things that have been created by somebody with a full license already, but now with this add-on module, what you can do is you can now author that stuff. And the big thing with that is it's another service that you can offer to your GC or to your engineer or to your clients or anybody like that, over and above just plain old detailing that everybody else is doing. Give them so much more than just a detailed bunch of drawings.
So without further delay, let's go ahead and we'll jump back into the model. I'll change my representation here back to standard, or basically viewing by class, and we'll go ahead and take a look here at the model organizer. So I'll go ahead and open this by going to Tools, down to Model Organizer. You can see the cost code sections that we already put in there beforehand. So we'll go ahead and just add to that. Now, if you remember the difference between the two in logical areas, we're going to basically can split that up by floors, so you can easily isolate level 1, level 2, so forth up to the roof, or however you want to divide that up. But no object can be in two logical areas, meaning that a beam on level 1 can't belong to level 1 and level 2. You have to choose one or the other. When we get into object types, you can have objects associated to different types, so it's not restricted just to one. So we can create an object type if we want to group all of the beams together, and then a beam within that's on level 1 can also be in a level 1 object type or a specific cost code. If it's a heavy beam that needs CVN testing versus other beams, you can group them in that way, kind of mix and match. So to show you how to do this, for the logical areas, I'm just going to go ahead and right click and just add a couple in here. Let's go level 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the roof. So I'll just add in 2 more here, and I'll just go ahead and type this. We can do this level 1, and again, doesn't have to be levels, but however you want to divide this up. I'll go ahead and put in level 2, and then just continue on through all of these. So set this up real quick, and then we can continue adding objects into these. So we'll go level 4, and I'm just going to do the roof. We could do a mezzanine or roof rafters, or again whatever whatever level we want to do. So I'm just going to come in here and just window highlight the objects that I want to put into my level 1, and I'll just right click and say add selected to category. So what it'll do is it'll take all the information about those objects and place them within this. So now you can see that there's 145. If I slide this over, we can turn on and click this button, and what this will do is now it'll give me a list. Again, this is where this model organizer is different than using selection filters, is that I could tag all of these pieces as level 1 in a UDA and then just create a selection filter to grab all of them. But what it won't show me is what the names of the objects are, the grade of material, the profile, all of this information that I want to show. And again, all of this information can be customized. So you can come in here to the properties and you can just check on the boxes of what you want to report in that dialog box. So anything that you want to see that will help you better visualize the information, you just check that box and it will show up. So these are just some of the ones that I have chosen. So we have level 1, so I'll just go ahead and do the same thing for level 2. Go ahead and add these. Go to, let's put in level 3. And just about done here, level 4. And now I'll just dump everything else up here on the roof. So we'll go ahead and add that. Clean through all of my windows. There we go. Okay. So again, excuse me, we can select those. If I right click on these, I can add in subsections. If I want to do level 1, then I can break that even down further into phase, or to sequence, or however, if you want to continue to subcategorize that. You can also select everything in the model and you can see that it instantly highlights that. For users that may have used this on SR1 or previous versions, you will notice that significant speed improvements have been made for selecting and toggling through these. So a lot of improvements and a lot of focus and effort has been put into the development of these tools. Okay, so that's basically the logical areas. Let's go back down to the object types, and what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and create a new object type, and I can just call this main structural. And the new feature that's been added is basically like a not an auto classifier, but basically I would call it a semi-auto, where basically what you can do is I'm going to select all of these objects here and add them. I'll just go add to selected category, and I can add them to the main structural group here. So what I can do within that is now I can come down here. Let me slide this over here. Main structural, so it basically added all my beams, columns, braces, everything all into this one category. And if I wanted to subcategorize that, I can classify objects based on a given property. Now these are, you're not limited to just these properties. You can customize the object properties, and again, you can come in here and choose which ones you visibly want to see. So if you had a specific UDA that you wanted to classify them by, but just to give you an example, I'm going to go ahead and classify the objects based on property, so just by the name that I've given them. And what this will do is it'll go through and scan these objects and divide them into oh, I didn't have it selected. There we go. So once it's selected, so it'll go through and divide these up by the categories given the specific name. So now this plus arrow will appear, so when I click on that, I can see now that I have 131 columns, the SS columns, beams, angles, and channels. So I can do all of that there. If I want to go even further, I can then select the beams. I can just highlight these in the model. There we go, selected model. And then I can come in here and I can subcategorize these even further. So if I want to categorize these by the top level or by the top of steel, I can select that. It'll go through and look at the tops of steel and group the similar ones together and put them in a specific category. So I can drill down even further. So now I can see all of the beams that are at top of steel elevation 10 foot 0. So I can select those and they're highlighted. So pretty slick little tool to easily classify objects in the model. And again, you're not limited to just these, but you could break that down even into material. If you had beams that were a specific grade of material versus another, part position, weight, whatever you want to add or categorize in there, you can certainly do so.
So just recapping what Lee is saying there, I think you can all see the power involved in this, because it gives you a facility to give your other colleagues or your project partners a fully organized model that they can simply and easily navigate around, but crucially, it's not costing you a lot of time to do it. You can use this auto classification to get a lot of that stuff done quickly and easily. So again, it's adding value to your offering to your clients without costing you too much time at the outset.
Yeah.
So once again, just as a reminder, keep the questions coming in. We do have one in here that I think would be worth showing right now about reference objects. We're seeing more and more of these things coming in now where you're getting a model from perhaps the HVAC guy or the mechanical guy or something like that. So Lee, can you show how to get reference objects and show them in the model organizer, please?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and let me just add to, so we can do ducting, we can do concrete, or we could just do model, just reference objects in general if you want to lump all of them in at the same time. What we do have is as we exported that XML file, that there already are some reference objects that are within this. We have the architectural, which is basically like the concrete core, the exterior core of this, and also some of the ducting. So let me just turn on the ducting here. First, we'll just take a look at that. So you see all of the yellow information here within the model. Just kind of pan and zoom around, you can see how that's woven in between all of the steel. So just as an example, if I just want to come in here and select a couple of these, I can then come down and just add selected to category just like I would anything else, and be able to see this. I can then, even if I want, come in here and categorize it by the name or whatever. But we can see that specific information. If I come over here, what I'm showing or reporting is basically just pulling in the name of the specific file. But if I come over here and adjust the object properties, I can come down here and turn on the IFC name, the IFC object types if I want, and it'll come and add these over here. So I can see what the name is, what the type is. And a new feature that's been added is that I can easily just drag and drop these. So I can come over here and drag them over or position them anywhere, wherever I want to see them. So you'll be able to add that information. It's not limited to just native objects within Tekla. So if you got the plumbing or the electrical or the fireproof or whatever, you can bring that into the model organizer and be able to organize that as well. So I'll come back to my reference model list just for one more example. If I want to turn on the architectural exterior and the specific glazing, that I can come in here and just select just some random objects, or even again do this by specific floors and add in the information there as well. Okay, so you can easily be able to organize, categorize native objects within Tekla, or even reference objects from IFCs through the improvements and advancements that we've made to this. So extremely handy, especially if you're the BIM coordinator. You can model in the steel or the concrete or whatever within Tekla, and then take the other trades models and bring them in using an IFC file type and be able to organize them and manipulate them and play around with them just like you would need to be able to efficiently manage the project.
So thanks, Lee. Great stuff there, I think, in the new tools with that model organizer. Some good value there. Just some quick examples that we've been thinking about here. The one that we've talked about already, the cost verification, and we use the example of painting. Like for example, you get the bill from Bob the Builder, the painter, or Joe the painter even, and he's saying that he's painted 300,000 square feet, and you look at your model and you can only find 200,000 square feet of surface area. So it gives you a good chance, using even the custom inquiry tool, for example, to verify against what you're being invoiced. We've also talked about, the added offering to GCs is the fact that you can send them a fully organized model. And more general contractors are getting into 3D models now. The progressive ones that we are already working with at Tekla are using models to manage data throughout the whole construction life cycle. And if you're the contractor or the subcontractor who's giving them a model, then you're going to get more and more work from them. Faster extraction of data downstream, and what we really mean by that is that you don't need to be a guru to get information out of a Tekla model anymore. Even our sales guys can do it. Short dig at them. But the idea is that this new model organizer is so simple to use. You click on an object in the data grid, it highlights the object in the model. You hold down your control key, you click another object, it adds up those values. All of that kind of information is real easy to get to it. And again, and this has just been a real core of our message this year, is that delivering things beyond detailing. Getting more for your money or getting more value for your services because you're using a Tekla model over and above just delivering a bunch of drawings. So a whole bunch of other different benefits, and these are just ones that we could think of, and I'm sure you guys out there can think of so many more. I've got a couple of questions here. I'll just ask them and we'll get Lee to answer them while we're going through this. One of the questions, Lee, is how do I get this new construction management module?
The best way and the easiest is going to be to speak to your account manager. We do have a special pricing for a limited time, kind of a promotional price for getting these tools. So speak to them. They can get you the specific numbers and things like that. But again, it is a promotional price for a limited time that can be directed to your account manager. If you don't know who that is, shoot Ian and I an email. And we can direct you to the right person.
Yeah, we'll get you in touch with them. Another question is basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, but how does it work? I mean, is it applied to one license? Once it's applied to one license, is it stuck to that license? This is a couple of the questions that are coming in. Is how does it actually get configured, and how does it work in your system?
Yeah, so the way that it works is it'll be another entitlement that will be sent to you. Like if you had 3 steel detailing licenses, we would send you 3 entitlements. If you purchase a construction management module, we will send you an entitlement for that you'll activate. And then when you're opening up Tekla, where you choose your environment, your role, and your license, there will be a box that you can click at the bottom where if you want to start that license or that version of Tekla using the CM or the construction management module. Okay,
great. So again, the account manager or ourselves will be able to clarify any other concerns that you may have on that. One other question, and I kind of half know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it to highlight it to everyone here. Is there specific training available for these new tools?
Well, we do have the construction management training, which goes over these tools specifically. These tools will also be incorporated into the basic training classes and things like that. We are, through headquarters, going to be releasing some demo videos showing how to use these. But anything beyond that, right now, not a whole lot's been discussed. But depending on user feedback and things like that, we could quickly develop some online training or something, but that's something that's still being discussed internally.
Brilliant. Okay, so, I mean, we've got a bunch more questions in here, and what we'll do is we'll try and reply to them actually via email as we're getting a little bit short of time here. So we'll just kind of round up. Just go to the next slide there, yeah, thanks. Just round up here. A couple of notes that I want to mention. User meeting is coming up August 11th, 13th, and it's at the Cosmopolitan Las Vegas, as detailed by Lee and others. So nice new hotel there. Come along to our user meeting and see lots more interesting and informative stuff. We've also opened up our BIM Awards competition on our website as well. Please go on there and have a look at some terrific models that have been submitted by a bunch of clients across the US. Really cool stuff, really great submissions this year. So I'm really excited to see who's going to win that the BIM Awards this year as well. Just a quick reminder as well, next webinar, Wednesday, 3rd August, we're planning it, and that's going to show, in particular, and amongst other things, the Task Manager tool that's also part of this new construction management module. any other questions we can answer for you, please give us a call or drop us an email, and we'll speak to you again soon. Thanks very much, and thanks to Lee, and also thanks to Brian helping us out in the booth there, and we'll speak to you again soon. Good day.